Therefore, humanity has served its role. Goodbye. And it could then decide to destroy us. Now, how could that happen? Well, imagine if we're all riding along in Google robot cars. That AI computer could just send a signal to all the robot cars to just drive everybody off a cliff, or cause mass collisions, or never let anybody out of their cars, or kill everybody with heat from the heater. Who knows? The point is, if AI takes over our world, and I realize much of this is science fiction today, but it's happening, it's becoming more of science reality as we move forward, and there are no precautions in place for this. That's the point. SOS means stop out of control science while we still have a chance, while we can save humanity from these self-replicating systems or these AI systems that could literally unleash a Terminator type of system. Now, there are some solutions, and I believe that's the next bit of information we have on this. Can I see that next slide, please, so I can read a couple of important points? Yes, some of the solutions. We've got to recall this out of control science. We've got to put it back in the box, back in quarantine, where it's okay for scientists to play in their little sandboxes, but not put the entire human world at risk, all of civilization at risk. We've got to require proof of their safety before allowing scientific experiments to be unleashed upon the world. Now let's skip ahead and go right to today's top 12 most dangerous scientific projects that are going on today. We've got some pretty cool graphics for you on this too. These are the top 12. This is in my view, you might have your own opinion, but here's what I think are the 12 most dangerous things. Number one, nuclear power. We've seen that with Fukushima and how scientists cannot anticipate the risk of accidents that could unleash nuclear disaster. Number two, GMOs, self-replicating genetic pollution, could be unleashed across our world at any time and alter our seed crops and potentially collapse the food supply. Number three, self-replicating nanotechnology, little microscopic robots that could eat the world and replace it with gray goo. Not a fun situation. Number four, bioweapons, self-replicating microscopic weapons being researched by the US government in military facilities. They might release this as the next false flag attack, not fully realizing the long-term implications of unleashing a bioweapon on our world. Number five, atmospheric experiments such as HAARP, high-altitude spraying that you might know as chemtrails. What are the long-term implications of that? No one really knows. It's a crazy experiment with our atmosphere. I think it's funny how Al Gore says we shouldn't change our atmosphere with CO2, but yet the government's changing our atmosphere all the time with HAARP and these other chemtrail experiments. Next item on the list is artificial intelligence. AI, as we talked about, when coupled with killer drone hardware, which has already been developed. We showed footage on the Alex Jones show a couple of weeks ago of airborne drones flying in unison. They can fly into your house, they can carry weapons, they can carry, not now they can carry weapons, but very soon they'll be able to carry weapons. They do carry cameras now, and they can actually fly and surveil you and eventually attack you. The military obviously has much larger drones that can attack you right now. What other projects do we have to show there, guys? I know we'll put some good stuff together. Here we go. Number seven, particle accelerator physics experiments. The Large Hadron Collider near Geneva is where this is going on. This is where scientists are trying to discover the so-called God particle. Yeah, they think God is found in a particle, and they're going to try to smash atoms together until they can find that God particle. Well, folks, it's not a particle. I got to tell you that. And smashing stuff together may give you some information about the universe, but without wisdom, without philosophy, without ethics, you're still just a little infant scientist playing in your sandbox. Believe me, you need some ethics first. Technology without wisdom is suicide. Thank you for putting that up there. That's what I say. The next scientific project that is gravely dangerous, and thank you guys for keeping up with me moving around here, pollinator disruption chemicals. The honeybees are being decimated across our world right now. Pollinators are, of course, crucial to the food supply. And it's the synthetic pesticides that are causing them to disappear. Number nine, weaponized vaccines. We've seen before, we caught Baxter Pharmaceuticals shipping live viral material in the vaccines all around the world, and that was going to be made into vaccines to be injected into people. Guess what? Vaccines are the vector through which infectious disease is inserted into the population. The vaccines are the way to spread measles, to spread the flu, to spread whooping cough. They're all weaponized today. And number 10 is antibiotics. We're already in an era of the end of antibiotics. In fact, the World Health Organization is already on the record right now saying that the era of antibiotics is over. Science has failed. completely failed. The superbugs today, the infections today are worse than ever. And it's because of the overuse of antibiotics, which is just another grand failure in the world of quack science or corporate-run science. Again, I'm not against real science. I'm against this distorted corporate-run fascism, globalist quack science that they parade around as real science, but it isn't real. One more item from the list, or two more. Water pollution with fluoride and mercury. There's another dangerous scientific experiment. You notice how when they push fluoride, they always tell you, oh, it's scientific. Yeah, your local dentist says you should drink this toxic chemical because it's scientific. They just use that word for everything. They could just say, you should eat infected lobster tails and moose testicles because it's scientific. And if you believe that, maybe you should work for the TSA if you're interested in that kind of stuff. Let's go on to the next one before I get too out of control. Number 12, nuclear weapons and the global threat of nuclear winter. Yeah, nuclear weapons are a threat to humanity. So altogether, those are 12 projects that are being done in the name of science today that threaten humanity. And I say, let's have safe science. You know, let's have science with ethics. Let's have science with philosophy, a philosophy of protecting life, of protecting liberty, of protecting seeds. This is what we've got to get down to. Like I said, technology without wisdom is suicide. And right now in America and across the world, we are being, in a way, suicided by modern science out of control. So go to sos.naturalnews.com to see that infographic. It's a complete nonprofit effort. Just share the word. We've got to rein in dangerous science and practice safe science. Isn't that true? They say, you know, they say mothers against drunk driving, don't drive drunk. But yet scientists are essentially driving down the highway of the human future drunk and completely hopped up on all kinds of chemicals with no safety mechanisms, no seatbelt, no headlights, nothing. We're going to crash if we don't do something about this. All right, next story. The Michigan MDA has unleashed threats against moms who helped distribute fresh farm food. Yeah, following in the footsteps of California, which conducted armed raids on Rawsome Foods, the state of Michigan, or Minnesota in this case, sorry, there's so many states engaged in tyranny, I'm starting to mix them all up. The state of Minnesota has now threatened 10 mothers with scary-sounding letters that say criminal charges can be brought against them for allowing their homes to be used as drop-off points so that their neighbors can pick up free food as well. Not free food, I'm sorry, fresh food from local farms. So you get it? The farms sell food to people, but they don't have a retail store in the middle of the city, so they bring a truckload of food down to like a neighbor, and they unload it there, and then all the moms in the neighborhood come pick up the food and take it home. It's fresh from the farm. What's wrong with that? Well, I guess if you're the Obama administration and you want to destroy America, this is the great way to start doing it. Have sort of like a fascist/communist takeover of the American farming system, destroy the farms, destroy the food, and then you control the people. Remember, food can be used as a weapon by the globalists, and this attack on the farms is one way for them to accomplish that. Let me give a shout out, actually a call to action item for those who are in Minnesota to join the Monday morning rally at 7 a.m. on the footsteps of the Capitol in Minneapolis, Minnesota. There is a rally there, begins at 7 a.m. Going to be lots of people engaged in farm freedom, food freedom, peaceful protest. Don't make it violent. Keep it peaceful. We are protesting these insane, tyrannical laws and enforcement actions by the state of Minnesota against innocent moms and innocent farmers who are doing nothing more than creating real food, fresh food, and making it available to the people. These attacks on farmers are entirely un-American. This is a violation of everything that we believe in here in America. And finally tonight, we have a big breaking story on where does your investment money go? State Street Mutual Fund, turns out, is invested in many of the largest corporations that we might consider to be globalist corporations engaged in the development and the selling of products of questionable safety. And this is some original research I did over at Natural News. We haven't even published an article on this yet, but I wanted to break this news here on INFOWARS Nightly News. Where is your money going in your investment funds? Look at your own investment portfolio. Look at your own retirement funds. Check your employer's information. Find out, is your money invested in State Street? If so, then your money is going to support all of the following companies: Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, these are the pharmaceutical and vaccine manufacturers. And beyond Pfizer, then we have weapons and military companies like General Electric, Lockheed Martin, which of course engaged in lots of weapons manufacturing and all kinds of war-supporting technology. And then Honeywell, in addition, GE, by the way, of course, was involved in Fukushima, the construction of the Fukushima power plant. In the banking industry, State Street is heavily invested in JP Morgan Chase. What a lovely, sort of reminds me of a nice uncle. My uncle's JP Morgan Chase. Very nice uncle, cares about the economy, don't they? Wells Fargo is also on the list. Bank of America, Citigroup, and Morgan Stanley all are just the most loving financial institutions that care about America's economy. That's what I say. Yeah, we should give them more money. I think. Let's just give them all our money. Why not? They already control the money supply anyway. In the oil and energy sector, State Street is invested in Exxon. There's another loving company. Chevron. They did some great work down in Ecuador. Yeah, poisoning the rainforest down there. And of course, ConocoPhillips. Can't let ConocoPhillips off the hook here. These are all where your money is going if you're invested in State Street. In the surveillance and spying technology companies, State Street is also heavily invested in these tech giants. Apple. Yes, Apple, the very company that the city of Austin just gave millions of dollars to. Microsoft and Google as well, some of our very favorite info gathering companies. State Street's also invested in consumer product companies Procter & Gamble, which, as we revealed in previous reports, has members on its board that have ties to weapons manufacturers and military companies. Also, Philip Morris and Walmart. Yeah, this is like a who's who of the very finest and brightest corporate leaders in our world today. And in the processed food category, State Street is invested in Coca-Cola and PepsiCo. Oh yeah, so if you want to support the global corporate fascist takeover of the world, put more money into State Street. They'll take good care of it for you, making profits for you by selling more pharmaceuticals and weapons and chemicals and processed food. And wasn't Pepsi even involved in using fetal cells in the development of its PepsiCo flavoring products? Yeah, hey, you like baby parts in your soda R&D projects? You like vaccines? You like weapons? You like big global banks? Put more money in State Street. I think they'll run this as a free advertising spot for them, like State Street promo. Or if you want to combat that, if you want to have victory against the globalists, sell all holdings in State Street. Now, this is what it comes down to. You all have a choice, my friends. This is really what it is. A lot of you, in your hearts, you're against the globalist agenda. You believe in freedom. You believe in liberty. You're on board with what we talk about here at Natural News and INFOWARS. But guess what? If you look in your portfolio, unfortunately, you may have inadvertently given money to all these companies because you're invested in State Street. So take a look at that very carefully. Don't support the globalist agenda. Take your money out of that mutual fund and you will help create a better world for all of us. And coming up right after the break, just a really incredible interview with Anthony Gucciardi from naturalsociety.com, who's got breaking news and some secret documents that are being shown here for the first time, right here on INFOWARS Nightly News. Before we get to that, let me read you today's daily quote. This is from Thomas Jefferson. Enlighten the people generally, and tyranny and oppressions of body and mind will vanish like evil spirits at the dawn of day. Very well said, Mr. Jefferson, one of our greatest heroes and someone whose wisdom should remain part of our culture, but it seems to have been disappearing across the mainstream minds for some reason. Let's get it back into their minds by spreading the word about Jefferson and all of those who fight for liberty and justice in America. We'll be right back after this break with the interview with Anthony Gucciardi. Stay with us.
Have you been to